And good evening, everyone. We are back.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Joe. So, you baited me. Hi, Bridget. Good to see you here already. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the H, an honest conversation about health, hemp, and happiness. Joe is back with me. In case anybody doesn't know, Joe is fuck Joe, because when you're having a situation you want to get through, Joe has been the glue for me that pushed me through to the next step. I want to say fuck you to him a lot when really I know deep down inside I have to blame myself and look at myself in the mirror and push through. Joe is that mirror that comes back at me and makes me go, oh my God, I'm scared of me. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's made me go bald being the mirror for you. I don't know why.
Hi, Samantha West and Joe. Good to see you.
Hello. Yeah, nice.
So
I'm not being your mirror anymore. I lost all my hair doing that.
Joe and I have actually started. He sends me a workout plan, and I work out. And I started it this week, and my arms hurt and my body hurts more than I like to admit. But I appreciate Joe pushing me on and making me work hard. How have you been this week, buddy?
Well, besides dropping a very heavy weight on my leg, I've been fantastic.
How did you drop a very heavy weight on your leg?
Just bad grip happens. It slips.
Okay. If it doesn't hurt, it's not working. That's
100% true.
100%. Well, we have a lot coming up today. Who's your favorite superhero? If you could have any superpower whatsoever, what would be your favorite? What would you want to be?
Ooh, I don't necessarily have a favorite superhero, but I really love the power from Jumper, where he could just think of a place and be there. Like, it's like a free vacation whenever you want one. That's or you just awesome. Rob a bank or, whatever.
Hi, Stovetop, Yum Yum Maurizia. That would be fun. Somebody made the comment, Miss Mo Herzog, yesterday on the comments. She said she wished she could fly. And, Venom. That's a good one. If you could pick a superhero, I don't know.
Venom's a good one.
I thought of superhero. I was thinking even Spider-Man, but then I don't know if I really want the web coming out of my hand all the time and that.
Is it because of the latex? Is that what did it? You like the tight suit?
I do. Absolutely. It looks good on me finally. So yeah, I did, of course. Joe hasn't seen the commercial I made this morning of me in my Care Bear onesie. So Poison Ivy's a good one and all that. The thing is, a lot of these superheroes that we have, they bring a bunch of talents with them. They bring a bunch of things that are just meant to be more of knowledge we can learn from. I've been working on a show with a buddy of mine. We've become friends through the internet. We've never even met in person. We just literally go back and forth, and we started a podcast together. It's called One Square at a Time. His name is Brett Gordon. He is we take the leadership perspective of a king on a chessboard, and the king can only move one space at a time, but we connect it with superheroes so people can learn how to build their team around them to the best possible way with the tools and leadership that we learn through superheroes. So there's a lot of fun things that him and I have been going through, and we're excited to bring him on because this is a brand new show we're going to be releasing to the Delight Network very soon. Actually, this weekend, we have a show on Sunday. We have a comedy show this Sunday. Everybody go to Delight Cafe CBD, YouTube, click on the links, share with your friends. We actually have some very high-end comedians coming in. John Bruton, Jimmy Graham. I just got a new one today that she's joining us. I just can't pronounce her name, and I don't want to say it wrong without looking at it, and I don't want to look at my phone during being on air. But we have a lot of good things coming, and this Sunday's Valentine's Day. Do not think that you only have to spend it with someone you love. Here's the best part. You can love so many other people and just spread positivity and be home by yourself. If you have a crazy significant other that does not want you to go out and eat in public, guess what? You can stay home and have a digital comedy night. It's worth it. It'll keep everybody safe. It'll take away the fight. You can jump on here and play with your friends and make comments to us. So, without going any further, Joe, do you have anything else you want to add?
Please bring Brett into the show.
I'm going to read his actual bio now. Brett Gordon has spent 35 years in a leadership roles, from corporate America to serving in the United States Air Force. Brett retired from the Air Force as a major and spent 15 years building a personal leadership training to not only build upon himself, but to help others and let the masses know everyone is a leader. Brett has a keen focus on being a partner with leadership instead of a coach. We now welcome to the H, Mr. Brett Gordon.
Hi, everybody.
Brett!
Hey, Brett.
What's going on?
How are you, my friend?
I am doing really well, really well.
I love it. Kobe, good to see you. So, Brett, we are glad you are here. We are glad you are jumping on with us. Sorry, we have people switching from Facebook and YouTube making comments telling us how about that. It was cracking us up. You have been a busy man. You do a lot of big things. You've been in the Air Force. You've been to leadership conferences. What did you do in the Air Force other than strip?
I spent my 20 years actually as a logistics and supply chain officer in the Air Force. So really about getting people from here to there, helping to deploy people. And I spent 9 years in the reserves. 9 years of that was my duty station was the Pentagon. So my duty station was actually there during 9/11. I wasn't physically in the Pentagon at that time, but I did end up going back and voluntarily recalling to help with the initial fight in Afghanistan from the Pentagon, where I supported the people overseas. So did a lot of that. When I was in Asia as well, I was actually active duty during Desert Storm. So I had an opportunity to kind of see things from a number of different places.
That's interesting. That's pretty cool. I want to ask, since you weren't at the Pentagon on September 11th, was that because they told you not? Never mind. Joe smiled at me because he knew where I was going to go. I can't ask that because I know you'll have to kill me if you actually answer it. So I won't.
I was actually in training with another company where I was just joining the company. It was a supply chain software company, and they were in Rockville, Maryland. So not far away. And in fact, I was able to drive past the Pentagon before they put up the barrier so you couldn't see the hole that was in the Pentagon.
Really?
Yeah.
See, you did answer my question partially. So, Joe, did you just laugh at me?
Never laugh at you.
Never laugh at me. What lessons have you taken from the Air Force to help you with developing leaders today, my friend?
Well, the first thing that not everybody might think is that you don't lead by the rank on your shoulders. You lead from the heart within. You lead people by example and by caring about the people and by bringing people together so that they want to do and follow the mission. You don't direct them or order them to follow the mission. At least that was my philosophy in the military, and it's still my philosophy today, that when you're leading people, first of all, you have to lead yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are in the right state of mind, you can move mountains or you can move teams. And that's really the critical thing to know about being in the military or a leader in life. And guess what? Everybody is a leader, because the first team that you have to lead, as I mentioned, is me, myself, and I.
Very well said. Very well said. With this, you were in the Air Force for 35 years. You've had a bunch of different
20 years in the Air Force.
I'm sorry, 20 years in the Air Force?
Yeah, 35 years in leadership.
Sorry. I ran back and I grabbed the top trying to make sure I said something. My bad. So you spent 20 years at the Air Force. You were part of September 11th. And then from there...
Well, not exactly part of September 11th, but...
I got to change my wording on that one a little bit. But Brett, tell us a little bit about how you are. I think it's funny, Bridget. It made the comment. Are you a quiet leader, Brett? Like you really are kind
Quite
of.
a leader.
Shh, I like quiet. You are.
You
It
know.
applies both, actually. Oftentimes as a leader, I lead from the front, but when I'm in meetings and so forth with other leaders, usually I am relatively quiet and listening to what they have to say, gathering information before I make, my presence known. And it's usually based on the logic of analyzing everything that people have said. So if you want to call that to a certain extent kind of leadership from behind, that's part of my approach to leadership as well.
I love it. Who have you've taken a bunch of, other than being in the Air Force and going through everything there, you've taken other leadership courses. Who's some of the people you've learned underneath and some of the courses you've learned to develop your leadership styles?
Well, one of the big epiphanies in my life was actually back in 2006 when I went to my first live Tony Robbins event. I had already been, watching and following Tony via cassette tapes, so that kind of ages me a little bit there. But I went to my first Tony Robbins live event, and it was significantly different than listening to him on the cassettes. On the cassettes, it's kind of training, and he's kind of settled down and so forth. You go to the event, and people are jumping up and down and high-fiving and yelling and screaming and stuff. And here I was, this corporate leader. I was a senior director of IT for a logistics company at the time. I had just retired from the Air Force as he mentioned, a major, and I would consider myself at that time, especially, to be more of a stick up the ass kind of a straight and narrow kind of leader that, button down shirt kind of crap. And when I went into the event, I was like, holy crap, this is maybe not where I'm supposed to be, because I was not used to that kind of jumping around and so forth. And especially in the military and corporate America, being able to put your arm around somebody or hug somebody or whatever, that's definitely frowned upon because of all the different issues that can create. But here at the event, you're high-fiving everybody you don't know. And then they come out and they say, okay, everybody go around and give a hug to 10 people around you. And I was like, this is definitely outside my comfort zone. But I'll tell you what, I questioned it, I did it, and by the end of the day, I loved it. And I realized that one of the big things that we lose in today's world because of all of the potential liabilities of inappropriate touching and so forth is the actual human contact. And human contact in leadership and in life is absolutely critical. And it's just and it's probably the best way to really engage with someone in a way that is more genuine. Mm-hmm. People are social animals, and to take away that ability to touch, which COVID is really doing with like all of these meetings now and so forth, making the human animal less physically social than we've ever been in the past, and that's a big challenge today.
Oh, I agree. Would you say that it has really influenced a lot? I know I'm going off the cuff. Sorry, guys. But wouldn't you say it has influenced quite a few people, or it's affecting quite a few people because of what's going on? Like, physical touch really does make a big difference. You crack me up because I'm sitting over here. Joe's watching my face, and you're talking.
I'm like he's describing Brandon's heaven.
Right. I hug. I'd be like, "Hi, everybody," and like that's like I already told you, when I'm in Vegas, one of the first things I'm going to do is hug you, and you laughed, and you're like, okay.
Well, in today's world, I do that a lot, and I do that in business. It used to be handshake, right? And then it's kind of like, okay, handshake and kind of a shoulder bump. For me, it's like handshake, shoulder bump, grab the guy behind so that you can't like immediately and back off, because that's when you really start to make contact and recognize that I'm not just here to tell you something or to coach you. I'm here to partner with you. I'm here to be one with you in whatever that mission is or that goal is that you have that we're working together on.
I love it. I love it because I that's how I do it. I know that like Joe, when we go work out and stuff, you really do. You get in there close, you hug them. It's not just a hug; it's a feel good moment, and it's been something we've had to adapt to not having. We have the Corona bump now, where you go at each other with an elbow, and you hope you don't miss and just go for the throat, Yeah,
it's. You mentioned who did I study? So Tony Robbins was one of the big epiphanies, and that event was a big epiphany. Then I also have done a lot of work in neuro-linguistic programming, and I also am a certified coach in talent and performance coaching and consulting, using some other philosophies that are kind of based on the I Ching, the Far East, which the Far East and Asian religions have a very big impact in the way that I lead my life. And they're part of the way that I think really can benefit leaders in the Western world as well. And that was kind of when I changed from being, because in the military, you're trained to be mission oriented. You're in corporate America. It's all about mission and goals and objectives. And I grew up with that. And I call that the mission oriented. I was a mission oriented leader with a team. After 2006 is when I really started to delve into this a lot more. And the epiphany was I was really moving to be a people oriented leader with a mission, which is a huge difference in focus, and one that I think that if we can really take to heart in corporate America today, what we can achieve is far beyond anything we've ever achieved up to this point.
I agree. What were some of the best lessons you've probably taken from Tony Robbins?
Well, there's a lot of different things. One of them is a concept that I bring out, and that's called forever for now. And you're like, what do you mean by that? That means that I may commit to doing something forever, but like getting married. But that's based on what I know right now. So say, for instance, I got married and tomorrow I found out that the person that I married was a serial killer. Do I have to be with them forever? No, because my forever for now just changed because I learned something new. And the one thing that I say is every day is the first day of the rest of our lives. So each day, learn something, take it to heart, and recognize that tomorrow is going to be different because of what you learned and did today.
I agree. Joe.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, Brandon, do your 22 push-ups.
I actually did do them. I was listening to.
Did you?
I actually did.
All right. Well, I'll ask the next question with Brett while you do 22 more. I'm sure everybody would love to see it. Go on.
I hate you. I already complained about how my arms hurt today.
Everybody cheer Brandon on. No one cares his arms hurt.
All right, go ahead. You have the next question.
All right, Brett. So I want to get into something that I know is really important to you. And it is, what is businesses are people too? And I know that's something that you have worked on very much yourself. That wasn't 22, Brandon.
No, it's people are businesses too. I mistyped it.
Did I?
No, it's businesses are people.
You retyped it again? Go ahead, Brett.
It's businesses are people too. And
that's what I thought.
The concept there is that a business is not a business without people. And my philosophy way before even the Tony Robbins and everything was people, process, and technology in that order is how you need to build and form your company. And it's really, again, bringing the right people together, bringing the right energies of people together onto your team so that they're complementary as opposed to everybody kind of having the same kind of energy makes a team work, where oftentimes when we create teams, if we have that opportunity, we bring teams in and people into our teams because that's how we feel, and we can relate to them. But that's not a balanced team. That's a team that's everybody kind of like the same energy, which tends to be the way teams actually are made, but are not the most effective teams.
Absolutely. And Brett, I mean, I know we've asked you a lot of questions, but let's get into some interesting one. And this is one I know me and you talked earlier today that I don't really know a lot about. So I'm curious to see what the chat thinks. What is Healy and why do you like it and use it?
Okay, so the Healy is actually kind of another thing that I use with people, and it's really about, let me put it this way. It's a personal wearable microfrequency device. So what does that mean? It means it's a device that actually you can measure and evaluate your current energy state, both physical and mental. And then through the Healy actually generate energy frequencies that are going to balance and harmonize things that are in your physical and mental health that are out of balance. And it goes along with the way that I look at leadership as well, because everything and everybody is energy. And it's the energy and the balance of energy that really make things flow and work within ourselves as well as within our teams. So the Healy is one where you can actually focus specifically on yourself and helping to balance some of those things that are causing stress in your life, that are causing dis-ease in your life. And stress and dis-ease actually create an environment where you can get a disease. So it's just a tool that I use to really work with helping people with what I call your health, physical health, and MELF, your mental health. Because mental and physical health are inseparable. So you have to work on both in order to lead a balanced life and to help in all aspects of life.
Absolutely. And Brett, while we're coming up with some of the key phrases you made, you were talking earlier, and you had one that I loved, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was wellness, right? And that's focusing on mental health, right?
Yes, your mental wellness.
Mental wellness, that's what it was.
Wellness, exactly.
I love it. I mean, you just came up with two more that you hid from me earlier, so it's okay. I'll forgive you, but they were really good. So, Brett, let's get into some things you're working on now. We went over your past, a lot of how you developed, how you grew, how you've been helping others. But what are some projects you're working on now, from maybe some podcasts, business adventures, or maybe even some hobbies and stuff you're developing and really haven't told too many people about?
Well, Brandon and I have been doing something for months now as we're putting together a whole series of events on how to bring out the superpowers within us. And the way that we're doing that is through the superheroes and movies that we enjoy and watch hopefully every day. Each movie that we watch oftentimes has a message behind it, but we don't necessarily focus on those messages. And when you go and watch a Marvel hero like Thor, you know, you see his strength, his superpower is his hammer. No, it's not. Actually, there are superpowers beneath the superpowers. And that's what Brandon and I are uncovering and using those as avenues to explain kind of what superpowers are and how they used them beyond what you see or what you think about in the action heroes, and then can bring those into your life as another tool that we can use to deal with the different scenarios and environments that we have in our life. One of the biggest challenges with stress today is that we oftentimes only have a few tools in our tool belt to be able to deal with all of the different environments and challenges and things that come up in our lives. And when you only have one or two tools.
So real quick, Brett,
Yeah.
not to interrupt you, while we're on the tool belt, so you're pretty much saying a lot of people are like a broke Batman, like they don't have like all the tools.
No, I'm not saying that they're broke Batman. I'm saying that they actually don't realize they have all these tools. So it's a matter of bringing out what's within us. In fact, one of the things you said, what has Tony Robbins taught me? All I need is within me now. That's one of the mantras that we say at a Tony Robbins event. And that's true. We really do have all that we need. It's a matter of being able to draw that out. It's a matter of being able to relate that to the situation that we're in today. And going back to the tool analogy, if all you have is your hammer, then everything in life looks like a nail, right? You've heard that before, which means that if something isn't going right and you're responding to it, and all you have is a hammer, you just hammer harder, you pound harder, and then you get frustrated because you bent the nail or you're not getting the results that you're looking for. So you try even harder. And what that does is leads to frustration, or it leads to high levels of stress. And in the worst case scenarios, and we're seeing this today because of the COVID things and so forth, there's a lot more suicide. There's a lot more domestic violence that's going on because people are not used to being cooped up together like that. People are not used to not being able to go outside and be with their support groups and so forth. And yet they've only got a very limited tool set that they have available to them, or that they realize are available to them. And as a result, they get frustrated to the point that finally they say, I give up. And this is happening, significantly. And in fact, last year, more school-age children had committed suicide from June to November than had occurred in the entire previous year. And that's continuing on. And this is because people just don't know how to deal and cope with the situations that we're put into.
I agree. With that, we have a question from a fan really quick. When working with a team, Brett, how would you approach a bad apple on the team?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Well, I think that you might need to look at things a little bit differently. Instead of saying it's a bad apple, it's a person who has had actions that are not conducive to the team. And when I say actions, that's like saying that I'm a bad person. No, you're not a bad person, but you may have made some bad decisions. You may have taken some bad actions, but that doesn't make you a bad person unless you believe you're a bad person. So I think first of all is to really get to understand kind of what's driving the person. And one of the things that I use in my business is actually an assessment to get a better understanding of what the natural energies are of that person, because oftentimes where we're coming from is not the same energy where they're coming from. And we need to understand where they're coming from so that we can better communicate with them and they can better communicate with us. So I think that, when you're talking about a bad apple, is first to get a better understanding of what their drivers are. Maybe they're not a fit for your team. Maybe they don't have the same goals that your company has. Maybe they're not really in tune with the culture that you're trying to create. But a lot of times it's because they don't really understand where you're coming from and why it feels like there's a big difference between where you're coming from and where I'm coming from.
I agree.
And Brett, before we get to the next question, I want to expand upon the test you were talking about, because Brandon's actually going to throw your website in there so people could check it out if they're interested and learn a little bit about what it is. But for everyone in the chat, me and Brandon, and actually the whole Delight team, has taken Brett's test. Brett was very courteous enough to go over it and do it with us and take care of us as a company. That's really what launched our relationship with Brett and getting to know him. But I'm very introverted, if you guys would be surprised to know, but I took Brett's test and I learned a lot about myself, and we helped Brett in a way discover that he had a better target market than he thought, because there's so many young people, entrepreneurs, or people just getting into business that, we're kind of lost. We want to find that path. We maybe have experience in sales, but don't like sales. And as we're going to the job market, it helps, in interviews, building a resume, learn more about social life, relationships. And Brett, how long is that test? Like realistically, average time, like 10 minutes?
To take the test is only like 10 minutes. It's a pretty simple test.
So that 10 minutes of my time, right? That's me reading and taking my time, has taught me probably things that will ripple until the day I die. So I thank you for that and being kind and doing us that test, but it's taught me a lot, even after 4 years of business school. quite a bit about myself and how to apply it.
Well, the cool thing about that test, as opposed to, I being in business and leadership for so long, I've taken many different personality tests, from, the DISC test and the Myers-Briggs and all these different personality tests. But the results of those tests were not something they might have explained or kind of explained who I was, but I didn't really understand how that worked with everybody else.
Right.
The simplicity of the model that I use is there's only really 8 different profiles, if you want to call it that. And as a result, if I know who I am and then I know who they are, I understand, because of the simplicity of the model, how to better communicate, how to build trust within the team and within each other or between each other in a way that's very simple. And that's the power of the tool. From there, it's really, a lot of the work is me working with you individually on a review of the results to make sure that they really do fit, and then to help to understand how to apply those in your business, in your life, in your relationship, because your business life and your home life are inseparable and cross-contextual.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is that when things happen in business, they affect your home life. And when things happen at home, they affect your business life. So you really need to address both, because people are a whole. You need to look at things holistically. And that's what I do with the foundation of my business anyhow.
So, sorry, excuse me there. Right, I want to go back a step for a second. One Square at a Time, the podcast you and I have been recording now for a few months. We've mentioned tools. You gave examples of the hammer and stuff. But the thing is, when people hear that, I guarantee the first thing through their head is going to be Thor, But you and I didn't just use their tools. We actually break it down even more. We break it down. We break it down even more into sections of how, people can use different things that they might not see. I'm going to just use one of them. We used all 4 Ninja Turtles, because let's use the one that everybody would assume I'm going to go with. So the Ninja Turtles is one that you and I went through, but instead of finding something for each one, we talk about each character, and then we explained how they actually would combine. Do you remember what it was?
When we were talking about the turtle?
You remember what their tool was?
Okay.
It's the piece inside the wrench that holds it together, so that way it can open bigger and wider and get to different parts. And it was, I forget what you called that, but you had a name for it, and you explained how with the 4 of them, you're able to fix many different things to many different areas, and how it's able to break it down. But we take it, last week we did one with characters from Avatar, and we had a great conversation. Miss Nelson jumped in there. We had Avatar on. We have had a conversation about. We've had a couple where you and I both.
We used Hermione from Harry Potter. We've done Big Hero 6. So each and every one of these movies actually has messages behind it, powerful messages that some people pick up and others don't, or you pick up parts of it, or you realize, or some people just think they're fantasies. Mm-hmm. But the reality is these movies were written by people that are actually communicating a message. It's not just all about the action. It's not just all about the shoot 'em up or the comedy or whatever. There's really messages behind it. And in fact, I was doing my homework for our next one coming up, and it's from the movie Soul, which is a cartoon movie that just came out from Disney, and really, really interesting when you get to the behind the scenes and understanding kind of what's really going on in the movie, as opposed to just the entertainment value of it.
Correct. We take your modern day movies and even historical ones, and we want to find the way that it's connecting with people. So you can every time, Big Hero 6. It's one of their favorite, one of Bridget's favorites. But what's fun is we take the Big Hero 6 and take this big puppy thing and turn it into what are the tools that we can learn through the movie. Brett, we have what services would you say you provide to help assessments and to reviews and choose a good path or career for people?
Well, like I said, and what Joe was saying is when we really understand what our core energy is, when we're in flow, when I say we're in flow, that's kind of like when you're doing something and time just passes so quick and it's like, holy crap, I've been doing this for 12 hours and yet it feels like I just got here. That's because we're in flow. We're enjoying it. It's within our natural energy and our frequency for what we're doing. Some people are more detail oriented. They love doing the research. They love getting all the nitnoid details, or what I call Nat's ass details, the very specific, because that's where they get a lot of excitement and it becomes very logical for them. On the other hand, there are those that are just the people person. What they would love to be able to do is go out every day and just meet people, because as they meet people, they're learning things and they build this Rolodex of people that they can call upon when things happen or they want to find out how to deal with a situation. Those are the connector type people that really understand who to go to get the answer, where the people that are more detailed, they go inside first to try and come up with the answer and then tell people about it. People go out and talk to everybody first, come up with an idea and then present it. So it's kind of a different approach to how you actually go about resolving or coming up with solutions.
Is there anybody that wants to see a Brett and I do one? We've done quite a few. They're all being uploaded to YouTube. It's one square at a time. It will be on the Delight Network. Joe, I know you have one you'd like us to do.
Mm-hmm. That would be Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph. Okay, well that's one that I know of, but actually haven't watched. So another one to do research on. That's awesome.
You'll enjoy it, Brett.
I feel bad. Brett talked to Sarah and I the other day, and he got Soul and I can't think of what the other one was.
Yeah, I forgot. Sarah told me. It's another one that I didn't watch yet.
Inside Out.
There we go.
Yep, Inside Out.
Such a depressing movie, but it's good.
See, I know what you're saying, and I can see that, but like, it's a very unique depiction of growing up, and it's how people. We got a Moana chant in here going now.
There we go.
Yeah, have you seen Moana?
Love Moana.
Love Moana. I could sing almost every song in that.
Moana, Frozen. I'm just a big kid. I refuse to grow up. I have no choice but to grow old. And, I'm going to maintain that Peter Pan mentality for the rest of my life. My mother always yells at my dad because she says he's never grown up. And that's great, because when we grow up, when we get mature, we forget to laugh. We forget to have fun. And that's a big part of life. In fact, people that are having challenges, people that are depressed, one of the things that I try to get them to do, and this is oftentimes difficult because they don't necessarily want to do this, but I say, force yourself to get into a real belly laugh for like 30 seconds. And if you do that, if you are really laughing, force yourself to laugh. Think of the funniest things. In 30 seconds, you will not be able to feel depressed the way that you were before. There is no physical way that you can, because when you laugh, you generate endorphins. You generate things, chemical changes in your body that take you out of that depression. And that's just one way that people can help themselves. And when I talk about working with leaders, I don't just work on leadership. I work on improving people. That's really why I changed from being in corporations as a leader to now be able to work with more people and work with leaders to help them work with their people to improve the lives of people,
So
regardless of what they do.
I actually think that's a very good point, because the truth is, Brett, like, becoming an you use the word people advocate, and I've heard you say that. How I personally know, look, I love to give off an energy that I love everyone, because I really do. But the truth is, a lot of people see that and try to take advantage of people like me. So it's become hard not to become calloused towards people at times. Uh, how do you become more understanding or become a better people advocate?
Well, I think, first, like for me, first and foremost, I believe in the power of people. People can create miracles. People can create change. And yes, there are times when I've been taken advantage of too. Everybody has. I mean, that's part of life. And the key is to not become so skeptical that you basically put up this big wall or shell around you to protect you, and then not really allow your natural talents, your natural energies to come through. We've talked in the past about masculine and feminine energy. It has nothing to do with being a male or a female or a type A male or a more feminine male. That's not got anything to do with it. What it has to do with is the fact that masculine and feminine energy are in everybody. And the masculine energy tends to be the more action-oriented energy, and the more defense-oriented energy. The feminine energy is the one that you listen. They want to be listened to. You need to learn to listen. And when you can balance that masculine and feminine energy as a leader, you are a far more powerful leader than you are at any time, whether you are stuck in your masculine or stuck in your feminine energy. And one thing to bring out about that is, oftentimes in business, women have had to take on this very masculine energy shell, because the business world tends to be dominated by men, and in the military and in logistics, very much the same. What happens oftentimes, though, is they've built this up to the point where they're almost a He-Man type leader, and they lose the sensitivity and the intuition that comes with the feminine energy. And even worse is oftentimes they take that home, and then they are trying to figure out why their relationship with their significant other doesn't work. And oftentimes that's because you end up with masculine energy and masculine energy, which then repel in that relationship. When you go home, you need to learn how to turn off that masculine energy, or if you take on, as a male, if you take on that more of that feminine energy, you need to bring in that masculine energy in your relationship, because it's really that attraction of the masculine feminine energy that really provides great relationships.
So you have another question that was a good one. Are there signs, Brett, when team members are unhappy with their role that we can look for?
Well, yeah, I think there's some obvious ones, and that is, that they're last in the door, first out the door. They're in meetings, but they're kind of sitting back and they're not really engaged. When they talk to people in a very concise, terse fashion. They may speak out in ways that are not conducive to the betterment of the team. And oftentimes that's because they're not seeing eye to eye with the mission of the team or their role within the team. So those are some of the obvious ones. The others are to listen to, like I was talking about, that feminine energy and that intuition. listen and watch how the team is working together. See when you start to feel a difference in the energy that is going on between team members or within the team, or when you're talking to somebody, feel where they're coming from. And oftentimes you can start to then ask more questions, and sometimes you have to be direct and ask, what is it that you're not relating to right now? Are you having challenges in life? Sometimes, as leaders, we don't know what's going on at home, and that's dramatically affecting somebody's engagement at work. And oftentimes they bring that anger that maybe they can't express at home, they bring it to work with them, and vice versa. So those are some of the things that you can do. But, at some point in time, if that person really becomes an issue with the performance of the team or the trust within the team, sometimes you have to move them out of the team. Sometimes you actually have to move them out of the company. It's usually not the people that you hire. It's the people that you fail to fire that create the problems in business.
Makes sense.
I definitely would agree. And Brett, I want to get into last couple of questions. And one of them is, so you were in corporate America for what, almost about 30 years, give or take?
Yeah.
So obviously we went over a lot of your past. This is kind of diving back into it. But in that corporate America, what has really helped build your experience, and not only build your experience, but what did you take from that to really propel you forward to who you have become and who you're still working to become?
Well, the one thing that I did in my military career and I took into my civilian career as a leader is I'd like to get into positions that the company was having problems with. I love working in very intense environments and in having many different things happening simultaneously. That is where I started my career. I actually started in the Air Force in what they call the Air Terminal Control Center or Operations Center, ATOC. And what that is that's the center that controls loading the freight onto planes, unloading the freight, coordinating all the people that are doing that, getting the passengers on the plane, getting them off the plane, and maintaining the schedules. It's a high intensity environment where you have many planes out on the flight line, and each one, in the military, if you miss the departure time by 15 minutes, that's a major problem that you will be addressed when those things happen. So that's where I grew up, and in those kind of intense environments. And what I learned from that is that if you don't think you're going to be able to do it, I can guarantee that you won't be able to do it. It may require, like as a project manager, I would go into work. In one particular case, I was working with John Deere, and I was putting in a system, a warehouse management system that the company I worked with at the time was Ryder. They had failed 3 times in putting it into major corporations. I go into John Deere, and I chose that position because I knew it was going to be tough. But I brought together a team, and I worked the first 8 hours of day at work, and then I worked the second 8 hours of my day with my team, because my team actually they were from California, and they tended to work from noon until midnight. But the people at John Deere were made up primarily of farmers or people with that kind of a work ethic. So they were up at the crack of dawn. So I used to have to go to meetings at 6 o'clock in the morning and then work with my team at midnight, trying to get the things done that needed to be done for that project. And for 9 months, I worked that way, and we succeeded. But I had many challenges and many battles within the company to help. Actually, we had to delay the project for 3 months because we would have failed, and we would have shut down John Deere's production line, which is a $22 million a day production line at the time. And that would have been probably the end of Ryder as a company doing this. So I love that. And that's the intensity that I bring with me when I'm working with leaders, but I don't express that kind of intensity. And that's where there's a major difference in a lot of leaders. So I learned that the best way to control intense situations is to maintain a calm, balanced, delightful attitude.
That was not set up, I swear. That's why you see me laughing.
And it's true. But if I could maintain an even keel, I could bring down the intensity that other people were feeling, the stress that other people were feeling, to a point where we could actually be productive. There's other leaders that would ping off the walls. And when you do that, your team pings off the walls. And it's very difficult to bring that kind of a situation under control. So that's me. That's my personality. That's not to say that other leaders with other natural energies wouldn't do things differently, but that is what I learned. And that's what I bring with me when I work with partner leaders and businesses and people when we're addressing challenges.
And that's rare too, Brett, because most people, when they get in a company, leadership role or not, when they're offered a hard position, they instantly like, no, thank you. And I think it takes the right type of leader and person willing to put that extra weight on their shoulders and go, no, this can be done. I'm going to be the one to do it, and I know how to get it done. And I know you've told us that story before. It amazes me every single time, because just the work ethic alone for 16-hour days, that's hard for 9 months. And the baby you produced was not a company going under. So I'm sure they were all very thankful for that.
Yeah, exactly. And, at the end, interestingly enough, some people at John Deere had heard from another company where Ryder had failed at implementing this and almost brought that company down. It was a major aluminum producer in the country. So John Deere was very well aware of it. And at the end of our project, when we delivered it, the president of the John Deere works in that area, which is the Iowa, Illinois area there, he said it was the most successful major system implementation that he's ever experienced up to that time. And that was really because I bonded with the customer. I bonded with my team, because technical people and operational people oftentimes don't see eye to eye.
Right.
The customer and the provider oftentimes don't see eye to eye. The key is to be able to bring everybody together to understand and buy into what we're trying to do. And then we, as a team, go out of our way to help overcome challenges. Once you have that buy-in, you overcome challenges rather than point out problems.
Absolutely. And Brett, let's get to one question real quick, and then I know Bridget had a good question for you. And we talked about this earlier. You said something, servant leader. What does that mean, and why are you not a fan of that?
Yeah, I hate the term servant leader, because to me, as a person, I am nobody's servant.
Right.
So why would I want to be a servant leader? I look at myself as a serving leader. I am serving my team. I am serving my customer. I am serving myself. In fact, we all need to serve ourselves first. In fact, what I say is the I in team, the invisible I, is the most important, me. Because regardless of what decisions we make and say that it's for the team, ultimately it's benefiting us in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You may only have two choices that are not real good, but the one that you choose is the one that is best serving you. So yes, I do not like the term servant leader. I love the term serving leader. I love serving people. I love helping people and teams and businesses get better.
I love it. Right. And I think it just makes more sense all the way around too.
Yeah.
I think you explained it where it makes sense, where Joe and I just have to agree after that. It made so much sense. True. So Brett, how do you get through to people who do not believe in the exchanges of energies and the belief fact that the mindset is everything? Law of attraction and manifestation.
Well, I think that first of all, this is why I'm kind of a different kind of person, or to bring this concept of energy into leadership, is that, my background being in the military, being in corporate leadership roles, is not your typical HR or, energy oriented background. So I've actually lived it. I've delivered it. I've done it in my career. And what I found in those 35 years in leadership is the common things are the energies that people bring to a team, the attitudes that people bring to the team, the mindsets that we have in ourselves, and the understanding that when all those things come together, you're going to have challenges. And as a leader, it is our role to step in and start to smooth things out when they get hairy, to bring the team together, even though there's times when we're going to have differences of opinion. You have to break through, and you also have to recognize that there are the very vocal people on the teams that tend to take control of the meetings. And you need to understand those that are on the team that have a tremendous amount to contribute, but are afraid to, or don't do it because that's not their natural role, to really go head to head with somebody who's yelling and screaming. So it's our job to settle one person down and ask the other person to bring their contribution to the team. And when you do that, you start to gain better respect and trust within the team as well. So energy, everybody really knows that the world, the universe is nothing but energy, right? And it's all about the different levels of energy, the frequencies of the energy that makes solids, liquids, gases, and people. And our entire body is made up of nothing but biochemical energy. So why people would be reluctant to believe that energy plays this key role is only because maybe they don't understand it in a way that has related to them yet.
Right.
So it's a matter of really trying to address that. And that's part of the model that I use as well, because when I recognize that, like my girlfriend, she's a people person, and she's like, I don't want all the details that you like and get so excited about. She's like, just give me the big picture and kind of direct me in the direction that I need to go. And then I'll go talk to the people and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, so she brings a balance into my approach of looking at things so that I can better present things in a way that are received by people that don't have the same core energy that I have.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. Yeah. So Brett, at the end of every episode, we like to do something a little different. We actually end every episode with a how do you want to leave your impact on the world is the question we ask. Because you are our guest, Joe and I will go first. I'll go first. Joe will go second, and then you will tell us your impact on the world. I'm giving it a little twist today, buddy.
I say we did this last week and told him ours, so that's why I was going to let Brett just do his.
Well, I think that you and I we need to be able to show that influence on people, because we have to keep that mindset in ourselves, even if the words change. Fair?
Fair.
Yep.
Fair. All right. So today I want to end this episode by leaving my impact on the world, because I would like to actually make a big difference and teach people and show people the understanding of health, wellness from the inside out, what it means to truly love yourself, to what it means to using proper medicines, to what it means to being able to influence the world and know who your superhero is. I'm honored that I get to do shows like this with Joe and Brett and be able to make a difference in this world and provide this content. So if you're enjoying, please do me a favor, help us leave that impact by your impact being a share, a like, or a comment. Thank you guys for joining us. Joe, how do you want to leave your impact on the world?
Wow, my bald head got bigger. Mine's gonna be the same. Mine's Mine's gonna always be the same, man, because I believe in consistent action, and it's always very simple. It's from Gandhi. Just be the change you want to see. That's gonna stay consistent every episode. But I have no problem reiterating that to everybody. And once you really learn what that means and the ripple effect, you'll be at much more peace with that. That's it.
I love it. I love it. Mr. Brett Gordon, take us out, my friend.
What I like to say is your leadership is your legacy. How you choose to lead yourself and how you choose to impact others is the legacy that we create. And what I want to do is be able to leave a larger footprint of helping others by helping them understand how their leadership of themselves and others will help even more. So if you look at that, one person helps 10 people, those 10 people help 10 more, those 10 people help 10 more. And pretty soon you're up to millions of people, millions of impacts. Life everlasting is really based on what we do today, how we impact ourselves and how we impact others. So my goal is really to help people to build a better legacy for themselves by me helping to actually build a bigger, better legacy for myself. And that's not being selfish. That's being selfless, really, in terms of trying to do what you can to help others. So your leadership is your legacy.
I love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the H, an honest conversation about health, hemp, and happiness. We're so grateful that you joined us. Please tune in. We're going to be doing One Square at a time. That's Brett Gordon and I. We talk about finding your inner superhero. It will be on the Delight Network. You'll be able to go there this weekend. We have the comedy show this weekend. That Joe didn't even realize that the girl that challenged me, Britt Brat, that said hey randomly near the end, she wants to beat me at darts this weekend, and on air live we're going to do a dart competition, and if she beats me I have to shave my beard. If I beat her, yeah, she gets to shave her head. So it's going to be a good deal. And she agreed to this. That was the terms, because I explained how much my beard it means to me. And yeah, shut up, Joe.
I didn't say anything.
Brett, thank you again. Businesses are people too. Brett Gordon, Joe, remember when you want to blame somebody for something, just fuck Joe over. And
that's not really what that means.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made it up. I get to change it. No, I'm just kidding. In all honesty, fuck Joe is about looking deep inside yourself, seeing what you got. And when you need someone to blame because you don't want to blame yourself, fuck Joe. But no, you're really saying fuck yourself. All right. Guys, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you so much for coming on, my man. Guys, you have a great night.
Everybody, have a great day.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.